remains a 40-pound vest. I can only imagine if it was 100 pounds, but it makes me want to do some movements. A 40-pound vest. I can only imagine if it was 100 pounds, but it makes me want to do some movements and training.
What's up, fight fans? This is Counterpunch with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Oleksandr Usyk. Oleksandr Usyk says that he would like to fight Deontay Wilder. Wow. Oleksandr Usyk says Deontay Wilder is one of the fighters in the heavyweight division that he would like to fight. It would be a risky fight for the unbeaten Usyk, who didn't look very impressive in defeating French heavyweight contender Derek Chisora on October 31st. Now, this is by Sean Jones, okay? Usyk had this to say. He said he would be happy to face Wilder. He said, there are a lot of guys who I would like to fight and would be happy to fight like Deontay Wilder. Wilder's one-punch power would make it difficult for Usyk to beat him, and he's shown that he can be hit since moving up in weight. In Usyk's fight at heavyweight against Chaz Witherspoon and Derek Chisora, he was tagged a lot. Usyk might do well against Wilder for 4 or 5 rounds, the way Luis Ortiz did, but then gets caught and knocked out cold. Although Usyk won both fights, he was badly marked up in both fights. It was the same situation for Usyk when he fought young Joe Joyce in the World Series of Boxing 7 years ago, back in 2013. Usyk was hit a lot in that 5-round fight, and his face was reddened and swollen at the end of the contest. We don't know how interested Usyk is in facing the 6'4" former WBC heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder, but he has made it clear that he would like to fight Deontay Wilder. Okay, let me stop right there. Okay, because there's a lot of counterpunching I can do with this, so let me start with what I've read. Okay, Oleksandr Usyk fighting Deontay Wilder would be a very interesting fight. Why? Because Wilder is a guy on a different side of the same coin. Now let me explain. Wilder had an obligated contract to fight Tyson Fury again, which now that's in limbo. We don't know what's going on with it. We don't know how that's progressing, right? Yay or nay for the man, we don't know. Oleksandr Usyk is the mandatory for the Anthony Joshua WBO title, which means titles because he has the rest of them. So both of these guys are, in fact, waiting on their opportunity that they were one earned and the other one was promised. So they both need to see what's going to happen in their next fights. Now, was Usyk one of the guys that Deontay Wilder called out? I can't really remember. I know he called out Derek Chisora, Andy Ruiz, Helenius, but I don't think he called out Usyk, and I know he didn't call out Joshua. So I don't know how interested Deontay Wilder is, because maybe Deontay Wilder is worried about his own stuff that he has going with a contractual agreement that both of those fighters, Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, agreed upon. So I don't know how serious he is. But Oleksandr Usyk knows now he'll take a step. He's open to a step-aside fee in order to step aside. I think, first of all, it's awesome if he's serious about taking on Wilder. Why? Because, see, Wilder needs to think like this. I think he should add Oleksandr Usyk or call out Oleksandr Usyk or at least respond. Because if he can get Oleksandr Usyk in the ring, throw and land one of those straight rights that he's known for, from knocking people out flat, cold, that's it, finito. You know what he does? He becomes the WBO mandatory. So if he becomes the WBO mandatory, he's already in line to fight one of those guys, if it's Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury. Now, the big question is, will he take such a risk knowing that he already is guaranteed or promised, should I say, by contractual agreement to fight Tyson Fury for the 3rd time? So I think this is what Deontay Wilder should do, because these top fighters eventually have to fight each other. Oleksandr Usyk, more props to him, for making it thus far. Because a lot of people thought Derek Chisora was going to hit him with one decent punch. And on top of that, Derek Chisora is supposed to be cheating. Well, if he was cheating to that degree, Oleksandr Usyk, even though he was marked up, even though he was touched by Derek Chisora, he was still able to take the damn punches. So guess what? Oleksandr Usyk is a lot tougher than people think he is now, isn't he? Now the question is, if he can take Wilder's punches like he can take Derek Chisora's, which we don't know about that. But let's say he can, if he can stay durable in a fight like that with Deontay Wilder, he can do it. But Wilder's always a dangerous opponent because of that straight right hand. And what's the counter for a southpaw or straight right hand? So that makes it very interesting, and I do see Usyk doing a very good job as long as he's not hit. So it would be one of those fights. But then again, we could say that about anybody in the heavyweight division. If you get hit by Wilder, chances are, I would pick the canvas if you get hit hard enough or you get hit in that right place. Because Wilder has got better and better with throwing that right hand. He has. If you look at the Luis Ortiz fight, he got hit less. He lost every round, but he got hit less and he threw less punches, but he was more accurate with the punches he threw, and it only took one. Okay, and that's the dangerous thing about Wilder. So as long as he still believes that it only takes one punch to take out a guy like Usyk, take that fight with Usyk. Call Usyk's bluff. Because at that time, Usyk is already the WBO, so even if that mediator judge or whatnot decides, your time is up, it doesn't go in his favor, Tyson Fury, you guys going to have to move on because your contract, whatever. Even if that falls through for him, what does he have? He has the guy that's the WBO mandatory wanting to call him out and wanting to fight him. So what does that mean? That means opportunity. That means that he could fight Oleksandr Usyk, knock Oleksandr Usyk out, take the WBO position, mandatory slot, and wait for it. Wait for it. Okay? That's what he should do. Then he will be right where Usyk was. My shit fell through. Let me take his opportunity too. Right? He takes his opportunity. He's on waiting for the WBO mandatory just like Oleksandr Usyk. Okay? I think that would be great for Deontay Wilder because then he would be at the end of the rainbow to whoever comes out winning. And then we will know if whoever wants to take on someone dangerous like Deontay Wilder, then we will figure that out. Because a lot of people, this shit's been going on 2 years, is claiming Joshua did this or Fury did that. Well, let's look at it this way. If Tyson Fury beats Anthony Joshua, both fights, right, we will know, okay, he's beat you twice. There will be no reason to fight a third time for Joshua. Now would be a fight I really even want to see if he beats him dominant. If Tyson Fury is dominant, beating Anthony Joshua, why would you want to see that a third time? Right? And since that's the case, okay, Wilder's sitting there with the WBO mandatory. Okay, he has that mandatory position. Hell, fight a couple tomato can. Hell, he's done it before. You know what I mean? Like, hey, fight guys that you have a pretty good chance of winning to keep your position after you've already got over that major hurdle or whatever with Usyk, that difficult, skilled cruiserweight that he has, that gave everybody else trouble, that he's beaten everybody else except him. So Deontay Wilder's stock will rise, right? I know a lot of people won't give him credit because he's a heavyweight and Usyk was a cruiserweight. I get it. But then at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what kind of credit you give Deontay Wilder. He has that mandatory slot. Okay, so Deontay Wilder could wait on that. So whoever wins, if Tyson Fury wins both fights, he comes out, he's waiting at the end. Okay, he's waiting at the end of that because his mandatory from 2020 was already fulfilled by the guy that had the belts, which was Anthony Joshua by beating Pulev. So the IBF will be off the hook for at least at that point. Depends on how long it takes these guys to work out these two fights, to get these fights done and over with. But so he would have to worry about the WBA, and then the WBO is up. Okay, since the step aside was complete. and fulfilled, and Usyk took the step-aside money, and then he messed around and fought Wilder, got knocked out by Wilder. Now Wilder takes the position, right? Now Wilder's waiting. So if Tyson Fury beats him, and then there's Wilder for the third fight, and he says, I don't want to fight Wilder, they already know he's ducking. Counterpunch. But at the end of the day, I think Wilder's in a good position, especially being called out by the mouth of Oleksandr Usyk because of his position in the heavyweight division. Okay, so I think it's a great idea. You know, I always wanted to see Usyk and Deontay Wilder anyway. Why? Because Oleksandr Usyk said he really particularly didn't like Deontay Wilder. He said he talked too much. And Deontay Wilder has told and warned Oleksandr Usyk, yo, you better stay at cruiserweight. And I think it was both of these times these guys could really settle their differences in the ring. If Wilder thinks that he doesn't belong in the heavyweight division, prove it. Knock him out. Show him you don't belong here. Go back down south with my brother. Fight him, then try to fight me. Right? Something like that. Oleksandr Usyk, hey, he doesn't pretty much like him. Hey, let your fist do the talking. Again, I think it would be a great fight. You guys tell me what you think about Oleksandr Usyk calling out, interested, wanting to fight the former WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder. Leave your comments below. Please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.